Have you ever stood in front of the mirror and paused, not out of vanity, but out of wonder? You lean in closer and ask yourself, how is it that I still look this way? You glance at old classmates, former co-workers, or even family, and though the years have touched them, time seems to treat you differently. Is this just genetics, or is it something more? Maybe you've heard it more than once, someone looking straight into your eyes and saying, "There's no way you're that age." They smile, but you wonder, what do they really see? Is it the absence of lines? Is it the light in your eyes? Or is it something they can't quite name? Something beyond the surface? A glow? A peace? A stillness? And here's the question that opens the door to something sacred. What if your youthful appearance is not a coincidence? Not a fluke, not luck, but a sign? A spiritual signal from heaven itself? What if God is preserving you for something greater, because your story isn't finished yet? You see, we walk through life with so many assumptions about ourselves, assumptions taught to us by culture, by media, by the world. We're told our appearance is determined by our genes, our diet, our water intake, or how expensive our skincare is. And yes, these things matter, but they are not everything. There is something deeper happening when you walk in divine alignment. Something unspoken yet undeniable. Let me tell you something today that may change the way you look at your reflection. Nothing about you is random. Not the way your skin resists time. Not the brightness in your eyes. Not the calm you carry in chaotic places. None of it is random. You are being preserved, intentionally, spiritually, divinely. When someone says, "You look so young," they may think they're offering a casual compliment. But they're actually acknowledging something sacred. They're witnessing a kind of spiritual preservation that can't be explained by science or surface-level beauty. They're seeing the fingerprint of God. Because there is a kind of protection that has nothing to do with what you put on your face or what you eat. It's a covering. It's grace. It's heaven placing a hand over you and saying, "Not yet. I still have purpose for this one." You are not aging slowly, you are being kept. Think about this, when someone is walking in their divine purpose, especially in a world so filled with burnout, exhaustion, and cynicism, they need a strength that doesn't fade. They need a light that doesn't dim. And sometimes, that strength shows up in their very appearance. That is not vanity, that is vitality. And that vitality flows from the soul. We often underestimate how spiritual alignment can manifest in the physical. A person walking in forgiveness radiates differently than one weighed down by resentment. A person at peace sleeps differently, breathes differently, and ages differently than one carrying unresolved wounds. This is not philosophy. This is the fruit of a life in tune with eternity. You may not even realize what's happening. You may brush off the compliments. You may think, "It's just my moisturizer." But deep down, something in your spirit knows, this is more than skin deep. This is preservation for a purpose. Let's look deeper. When bitterness takes root in the heart, it shows. It shows in the furrowed brow, in the fatigue behind the eyes, in the heaviness of one's posture. When someone carries regret, their body reflects it, their energy shifts, their youth fades prematurely. But when someone chooses to walk in love, to release old pain, to obey the promptings of the Spirit, they glow. It's not magic, it's alignment. Spiritual obedience isn't always loud. Sometimes it shows up quietly, in the resilience of your skin, in the clarity of your speech, in the way you handle pressure without falling apart. When others ask, "What's your secret?" you may not have a simple answer. But the truth is, God is keeping you. He's keeping you because your journey isn't finished. There are doors you have yet to walk through, people you have yet to impact, assignments in the spiritual realm that still have your name on them. And in order to complete those assignments, You need strength. Not just strength of character, but strength in your body, in your breath, in your bones. God doesn't just preserve souls. He preserves vessels, because the vessel must be strong enough to carry the message. This preservation is heaven's way of saying, you are still needed. You are not done. You are covered, for a reason. Now, someone may hear all this and wonder, am I special? And the answer is, yes. Not because you are more valuable than others, but because your obedience has aligned you with heaven's flow. And when you live in alignment, heaven responds. And so your face may hold light when others seem dim. Your body may carry energy when others are dragging. Your joy may seem unshaken when storms rage around you. That is not coincidence. That is divine confirmation. So the next time someone tells you, you look younger than your age, smile with confidence, but also with reverence. Because that is not about vanity. It's about a spiritual truth wrapped in your skin. And in this video, we're going to go deeper. We're going to explore 3 specific spiritual meanings behind this preservation, so you can begin to understand not just what is happening to you, but why it's happening, and what it means for your future. So let's begin with the very first meaning. Youthfulness as evidence of divine timing. What you're experiencing, it's not random. You may have brushed it off before, chalking it up to good genes or a better lifestyle. But now you're beginning to realize there's more going on beneath the surface. Maybe you've wondered why people consistently guess you're 10, sometimes even 15 years younger than you are. Maybe you've noticed how your energy remains intact while others your age seem to be growing weary. It's not just about biology. It's about purposeful preservation. When heaven has a calling over your life, it doesn't just preserve your soul, it guards your entire being. That's why time seems to move differently around you. It's not that you've escaped the hardships of life, you've walked through fire. You've survived storms. You've wept in the dark and fought battles no one saw. But here's the miracle, you don't look like what you've been through. You've endured pressure that should have broken you. Pain that should have carved lines into your face and shadows into your heart. But instead, you shine. You glow. You stand tall. And there is peace in your presence. That isn't luck. That isn't chance. That's a divine covering, the kind of protection that only God can give. See, the enemy wants you to believe that you've missed your moment. That you've wasted too much time. That it's too late. That you're too old, too damaged, too far from the dream. But let me ask you this, what if the reason you still look young is because your time hasn't even truly begun yet? What if God has been keeping you all along, not delaying you, but preparing you? Your youthful presence is not a side effect. It's evidence. Evidence that heaven has had its hand on you this entire time. And not just on your face or your figure, but on your soul. You've been preserved for impact. You've been preserved for healing. You've been preserved for testimony. Because this world doesn't just need people who look young, it needs people who have been through something. And still carry hope, still radiate peace, still glow with purpose. Your youthfulness is not superficial. It's sacred. It is not a tool for vanity, it is a signal of divine timing. When you see yourself in the mirror and wonder, why don't I look as worn out as I feel? Remember, that's grace staring back at you. You've been chosen. There's still a harvest waiting for you. Still lives you're meant to influence. Still stories you're meant to tell. Still joy you're called to share. And your appearance, your presence, is just one more sign that God is not finished. Heaven is whispering, keep going, I've got you, you're right on time. Because looking younger isn't about trying to turn back the clock. It's about walking in step with heaven's clock. You're not behind, you're actually right on schedule. Maybe you've met someone like this, a person who radiates more than beauty. It's not their outfit. It's not their makeup. It's not even the way they styled their hair that day. It's something else, something unseen but deeply felt. They walk into a room and the air feels lighter. There's a calm about them, a joy that lingers, a light that cannot be fabricated. And when you talk to them, something becomes clear. They aren't just youthful on the outside. They're spiritually alive. That radiance, that lightness, that energy, it's not skin deep. It flows from the soul, pushing outward like light through stained glass. This is the youthfulness we must pay attention to. This is what matters most. Yes, we live in a world obsessed with the external, with diets, beauty routines, and filters, and there's nothing wrong with those. They can help, they can support, but what sustains you, what truly keeps you glowing through life's darkest nights, is not what you apply to your skin, it's what lives in your spirit. And that leads us into something deeper, the connection between spiritual vitality and external glow. Because the real source of your youthful presence may be the fire of your purpose still burning inside. Inner peace that radiates outward. You see, while the world spends billions chasing the latest anti-aging secrets, lotions, injections, surgical lifts, detox diets, there's a truth that continues to whisper beneath all that noise. The real fountain of youth doesn't live in a bottle. It lives in your soul. When your spirit is in alignment, when your heart beats with peace instead of panic, when you choose to walk in love rather than resentment, when gratitude becomes your daily language, something miraculous begins to happen. Your body listens, your body follows. That light people compliment you on, that glow they can't quite explain, that freshness that makes strangers ask for your skincare routine, it's not just your regimen, it's your inner rhythm. It's the harmony within your soul that begins to manifest through your skin, your eyes, your presence. And this is important to say out loud, because too many people think looking young is about vanity. But it's not. It's often a sign of victory. Victory over chaos. Victory over bitterness. Victory over emotional weight that tries to age us before our time. Let me be clear, stress is no joke. It will carve itself into your body faster than the years ever could. Bitterness hardens your features. Anxiety dulls your spark. Unforgiveness weighs you down in invisible ways. But the results become visible over time. The posture slouches, the jaw clenches, the light in your eyes fades. But when your soul is free, when you've done the hard work of healing, when you've cried the necessary tears and laid your pain at God's feet, something incredible unfolds. Your body begins to lift. Your face softens. Your smile returns. Not because life is perfect, but because you've made peace with the imperfection. That kind of lightness becomes a glow. And that glow, that's not cosmetic. That's spiritual. A lot of people have never heard it framed this way. But beauty, true beauty, is not just a physical asset. It's a reflection of spiritual wellness. There's a reason why we say, you wear your emotions on your face. Because it's true. Your emotions, your inner state, your beliefs, they leave fingerprints on your body. If you live in worry, it shows. If you're trapped in the past, it shapes you. If you hold on to grudges, they anchor themselves into your muscles, your face, your breath. But when you choose joy, when you make peace your priority, when you wake up and decide to live in gratitude, your body listens. It reflects what your soul has been singing. The body is not just a vessel carrying your spirit. It is a mirror. It tells the story of what's happening deep within you. Think about someone you've met who's been through more than most people could bear, and yet, when you look at them, they seem calm, their face is open, their smile is gentle, they don't look weighed down, they don't look hardened. That person has chosen healing. That person has refused to let trauma become their identity. That person wakes up and says, today, I choose joy. And that choice, it changes everything. Gratitude softens the lines that bitterness draws. Joy clears the fog that stress builds. Forgiveness lifts the tension that resentment buries. And peace? Peace shines. It radiates from your face like sunlight pouring through stained glass. I truly believe that many people who look far younger than their years are people who've discovered a powerful spiritual truth. The condition of your soul matters more than the condition of your skin. Because when the soul is clean, the face is clear. When the heart is light, the eyes are bright. And when the inside is whole, the outside doesn't break. In the next part, we'll explore the second spiritual meaning even deeper, what it really means to be preserved for others, not just to shine, but to serve. Spiritual energy and the glow of alignment. When you're living from a place of spiritual wholeness, it shows, without you needing to try, without you needing to speak. It's not something you perform, it's something you carry. It walks into the room before you do. It lives in your silence, shines in your smile, and pulses in your presence. But let's be clear, this isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's not about masking your pain behind polite smiles or fake positivity. No, this is about choosing peace even when chaos is knocking at your door. It's about looking at what's broken and still saying, I refuse to let this shatter me. It's saying, I'm not giving this world permission to steal my joy. I will not let this circumstance poison my peace. I will not let unforgiveness anchor me to a wound that should have already healed. That is how you stay youthful. That is how you stay spiritually alive and physically vibrant. So if you've ever been told, you don't look your age, or you're glowing lately, don't brush it off as flattery. Don't dismiss it like it's nothing. Because it's not just a compliment, it's a confirmation. It's the fruit of the peace you've worked hard to protect. It's the reward of the healing you've chosen again and again. It's the harvest of the joy you've nurtured. Even in hard seasons, when your spirit is at peace, your body can finally rest. When your soul is filled with light, your face shines like the morning sun. When your heart is whole, your posture rises without effort. You are not simply glowing, you are reflecting the health of your spirit. And these days, people talk a lot about energy, vibes, frequencies, alignment. Some dismiss it as trendy or new age. But the truth is, there's something deeply spiritual about energy, because energy is foundational to all creation. God Himself spoke the universe into existence through vibration. Let there be light was not just poetry, it was sound. Frequency, resonance, and you, yes, you, were created through that same divine breath. You are made of energy. Your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts, your prayers, they all move in rhythm. And the frequency you operate on each day determines much more than your emotions. It shapes your reality. It shapes your appearance. It shapes how you carry time. Some people aren't very old, but they look worn out. You can see it in the way they walk, the way they speak, the way their eyes don't meet yours. There's no spark, no lift in their step. Their spirit is vibrating low, dragging under the weight of fear, bitterness, chronic anxiety. And those emotions, they don't stay hidden. They show up in their face. They show up in their bones. They show up in their energy. But then, there are people like you. You walk into a room, and something lifts. You don't force joy, it just flows. You forgive quickly. You speak hope. You bring life with your words and presence. That's not just personality. That's not just optimism. That's spiritual alignment. That's a life attuned to something higher. That's someone walking in love, not the kind of love that's loud and boastful, but the kind that's steady, healing, and contagious. And when you walk in that kind of love, when you let grace be your rhythm and peace be your pace, your energy shifts. Your glow intensifies. Your body doesn't just survive the years. It carries them with beauty. So the next time someone says, "There's just something about you," smile gently, because they're right. There is something about you. And that something is divine. In the next part, we'll uncover the final spiritual meaning behind your youthful glow, what it reveals about the legacy you're being prepared to leave behind. The spiritual science of joyful youthfulness. When you're filled with compassion, when your heart bends toward mercy instead of judgment. When you're quick to forgive and slow to condemn, you're not just emotionally balanced. You're spiritually aligned. You're operating on a frequency that reaches beyond intellect and enters the realm of divine resonance. You're vibrating in harmony with the person God created you to be. And when you live in that alignment, not just once, not just during good seasons, but consistently, something sacred begins to happen. Your inner world starts to shape your outer world. It shows up in your body. It shows up in your energy. It shows up in the way you move through time. You feel lighter. You look brighter. You age slower. Not because you're escaping life's burdens, but because you're refusing to carry what was never meant to be yours. You've learned the art of spiritual release, and that wisdom becomes beauty. Have you ever noticed that people who carry joy don't just smile more, they radiate something? There's a warmth, a weightlessness, a magnetic quality that surrounds them. That's because joy is one of the highest spiritual frequencies a human being can hold. And it's not about pretending everything is fine. It's not forced laughter or fake happiness. It's about choosing joy when bitterness would be easier. It's about opening your heart to love, even after it's been bruised. It's about staying soft in a world that rewards hardness. That choice, over and over again, does something to you. It changes the chemistry of your body. It shifts the energy in your cells. It strengthens your immune system. Science may call it serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, and yes, those things are real, but I call it something deeper, divine flow. It's God renewing you from the inside out. It's heaven breathing freshness over your being. It's the anointing of joy wrapping itself around your bones. Now, let me be honest, life will try to knock you out of alignment. No one is immune. There will be days when you feel low, when negativity grips you, when stress creeps in and tries to make a home in your chest. But here's the key: don't stay there. Don't unpack your bags in that energy. Don't build a house on ground that's meant to be temporary. Return to the vibration of grace. Return to the rhythm of peace. Return to the frequency of faith. Speak truth over yourself. Breathe in compassion. Exhale every lie that told you were too late, too old, too broken. Because the longer you stay aligned with love, the more your spirit begins to sustain your body. Not the other way around. Looking younger than your age isn't just about good skincare. It's about soul care. It's not maintenance of the face, it's maintenance of the spirit. And when your soul is aligned with love, when your thoughts are rooted in gratitude, when your actions are driven by purpose, your entire being begins to glow. You don't just look like someone who's aging well. You look like someone who is thriving. Because you're not living from the outside in. You're living from the inside out. Yes, aging is a natural part of life. But how we age, that is spiritual. There's a difference between growing older and growing heavier. You can add years to your life without adding weight to your soul. And if your spirit is light, your face will reflect it, like sunrise over still waters. In the next part, we'll go even deeper into how spiritual lightness becomes legacy, and how your presence leaves behind a radiant trail that impacts generations. Divine favor that flows through generations. When your heart is full, truly full, your eyes reflect it. They shine not just with happiness, but with depth, with soul, with spirit. When your life resonates with grace, mercy, and love, something extraordinary happens. You don't just look younger, you become a living, breathing testimony that heaven still flows through human vessels. And when people look at you and ask with genuine curiosity, how do you do it? How do you stay so vibrant, so fresh, so light? You don't need to give a scientific explanation. You don't have to recite the benefits of good sleep or clean eating. You just smile and speak the quiet truth. I'm living in alignment. And that alignment, it goes deeper than most people realize. There's something I've learned with time. Something life teaches softly through experience. And few ever say out loud. But once you've lived through enough seasons, walked through enough shadows, you begin to see it clearly. Some of the blessings you carry didn't start with you. Some of the favor resting on your life was prayed in, cried in, believed in by someone who came long before you. You might be walking through life with a glow, with a kind of divine covering, with a grace that makes you look and feel younger than your years, and it may not just be the result of your choices. It might be because you are walking beneath the shadow of ancestral blessings. You're moving through your days under the umbrella of generational favor. Because not every battle you avoided was avoided by your own wit. Not every burden you escaped was because of strategy or luck. Not every ounce of peace you feel was created solely by your own strength. Sometimes, it's the fruit of a grandmother's prayers whispered late into the night. Sometimes, it's the result of a great-grandfather's faithfulness, planted in secret decades ago. Sometimes, it's because someone you've never met walked so closely with God that their faith built a shelter that still covers you. And now, you're walking in the harvest of what they sowed. You're glowing in the favor they called down. You're living inside of prayers they never lived to see answered. That's why favor sometimes doesn't make sense. That's why people look at your life and ask, how are you still standing? How are you so full of peace? How do you walk with so much grace? And the truth is, you've been carried, even in seasons where you thought you were surviving on your own. You weren't, even when you didn't realize it. Something unseen was holding you together. There were moments you should have fallen apart, but you didn't. There were days you should have worn the visible marks of struggle, but you didn't. Instead, you came out of it looking renewed. Looking rested, looking kept. That's not just resilience. That's not just good genes. That's divine grace, passed down through generations. That's favor that outlives the one who first prayed it down. I believe, deeply, that just as there are physical inheritances, there are also spiritual ones. We may not see them listed in a will. They're not passed down through banks or lawyers. But they live on, in your glow, in your energy, in your survival, and in the next part, we'll explore how these spiritual inheritances can be nurtured, expanded, and ultimately passed forward, so that you, too, can become the root of blessings for generations yet to come. The radiance of a deep covenant. You won't find spiritual inheritance written in a bank account. There are no documents, no legal stamps, no signatures passed through lawyers. But that doesn't make it any less real. In fact, these are often the truest gifts of all. They show up in the deep peace that steadies your heart. They show up in the resilience that surprises even you. They show up in the joy that bubbles up despite every attempt life has made to crush you. That is inheritance. That is legacy. That is grace that flows deeper than skin, deeper than age, deeper than logic. And maybe, just maybe, the reason you look younger, more refreshed, more radiant than others your age, is because your life is being carried within the covering of such a covenant. Your spirit has been marked. Your path has been protected. And that protection has shown up not just in where you've arrived, but in how you've carried yourself through the journey. People won't always understand that. And that's perfectly okay. They're not meant to. Favor doesn't have to make sense. When God puts a hedge of protection around your life, when He honors the whispered prayers of those who came before you, He will preserve you in ways that even time cannot reach. Now, I know, not all of us come from families who walked in the light. Some of us come from broken homes, where words hurt more than they healed. Some grew up amidst anger, silence, fear, raised in households that knew more about survival than love. Some carry generational wounds of betrayal, of shame, of emotional absence. Raised to be hard when they long to be held. But it is in those very places, especially those places, that when you rise up and say, "It ends with me, I will not pass this on. I will walk with God," that's when you begin writing a new chapter in the family line. And that kind of decision, it doesn't just change you. It ushers in a brand new flow of grace. It begins to move not only backward, healing old lines, but also forward, blessing generations you've never met. Because when you choose a different way, when you choose softness instead of bitterness, prayer instead of silence, forgiveness instead of resentment, heaven notices. And God doesn't just bless you. He blesses everything connected to you. Your children, your children's children, people who will someday call you ancestor. You're starting something that will outlive your breath. And maybe, just maybe, that decision is already bearing fruit. In your eyes, in your energy, in the way people feel peace in your presence. They don't see weariness, they see light. They don't see someone dragging themselves through life. They see someone being carried by grace. You're not just aging, you are walking in a spiritual inheritance. Every time someone says, "You look amazing," they're not just admiring your skin. They're witnessing the overflow of something divine. Because this is not about beauty products, not about good genetics. This is about alignment, about covering, about a favor that defies human explanation. And sometimes, you are the one chosen to carry that favor forward, so that others who come after you can walk in what you've labored to build. So if you've ever wondered, why do I seem to shine a little brighter? Why do I walk like someone with decades still ahead? Just remember, this didn't begin with you. And it won't end with you either. You have been chosen. You have been covered. There's something deeply sacred about being a living message. You may not realize it, but every single day you wake up with youth still glowing on your face. You are declaring to the world, grace is still flowing, protection is still active, legacy is still alive. Through you, when your life becomes a living sermon, when you move through life looking younger than your age, your steps light, your eyes bright, your posture full of strength, you are speaking something into the world. Even without opening your mouth, you are a living message, a spiritual current moving through the ordinary moments of everyday life. And that message is simple yet profound. It is possible to live in a way that makes the weight of time feel light. That even in a chaotic world, peace can be preserved. That caring for your soul is just as essential, if not more, than caring for your body. Your youthful glow is not just about your skin or your energy. It is evidence of something deeper. You're not just outpacing the years. You're outpacing the damage that comes from disalignment, from carrying burdens never meant to be yours, from unhealed anger and pain that lingers too long. You've been making choices, some large, some subtle, every day. Choices that protect your peace, that feed your joy, that nurture your spirit. And now, those spiritual decisions are bearing fruit in your physical reality. You may not always see it, but the light inside you has taken form. You may not try to, but the way you show up in life is giving others hope. I truly believe this. You don't look young just for yourself. You look young to inspire, so that someone, tired, disillusioned, or lost, can look at you and see there is another way to live. A way that doesn't surrender to bitterness. A way that chooses forgiveness over retaliation. A way that breathes deeply, releases gently, and believes again. A way that keeps the heart soft, even after it's been broken. Some teach with words, but others teach with presence. A timely smile, a calm gaze amid chaos. The strength to remain silent, not from weakness, but from a wisdom that knows peace is more powerful than pride. You don't need a platform to preach. The way you live is already a sermon. And whether you realize it or not, people are watching. They notice how you carry yourself, how you smile, unforced, how your energy makes the room feel lighter. For some of them, this is the first time they've seen someone not just surviving, but truly living. That kind of example is rare. And in that rarity, there is power. You are a gentle reminder that not everyone is simply enduring life. Some are choosing differently and thriving because of it. That's why your youthful appearance is more than a personal gift. It's a sacred responsibility, not a burden, but a calling. Because when people see you, they see what's possible. And when they believe it's possible for you, they begin to believe it might be possible for them too. You don't know who's watching. You don't know how your light is quietly planting seeds of hope in someone's mind. But know this, true light is never wasted. So keep walking, keep shining, keep living truthfully, keep becoming a living sermon, quiet but powerful, humble but deeply transformative. You're not just aging well, you are a living testimony. You don't have to convince anyone with words, because your very presence is already telling a story. And that story says, you don't have to live worn down. You don't have to carry the weight of years gone by. You don't have to match the heaviness of your past. You can be renewed. You can be light again. You can rise. That is the quiet, sacred beauty of living in spiritual alignment. It restores what life once tried to steal. It heals the cracks that no one can see. It softens the grief that no one ever heard. And the miracle is, people can see it in you even before you speak a word. They notice your eyes softer, your steps lighter, your face glowing with something no cream or procedure can replicate. A radiance that can only come from within. Now, I'm not saying you don't have hard days. I'm not pretending you never felt like giving up. I'm not claiming you're always happy or always strong. But I am saying this. You've chosen a different path. You chose not to let your soul break. You chose to hold your peace like a treasure, to guard your joy like a sacred seed during a drought. And that daily decision, quiet, consistent, faithful, is what makes you radiant. So when someone asks you, what's your secret? You don't need a polished speech. Just say it plainly. I let my soul lead. I let peace speak. I chose to live differently. And everything else changed. Because when the inside is aligned, the outside responds. When your spirit is rooted like a tree, your body becomes light like the wind. You've become a living message. That God still renews. That peace still holds power. That there is a kind of beauty no filter, no product, no surgery can touch, because it flows from the soul. So the next time someone says, you don't look your age, smile, and remember, they're not just complimenting your appearance. They're affirming your calling. You're not just aging well. You're living with intention. You're living as a testimony. A sermon without a stage. A light that needs no spotlight. And if today something in you feels seen, if something within you is stirring, then don't keep it to yourself. Share this message. Send it to a mother, a friend, someone who believes time has taken too much. Remind them, there are things time cannot touch when your soul chooses to stand. Click subscribe to receive more healing messages. Leave a comment if you've ever walked the journey of protecting your inner light. Share this video if you believe someone needs to hear that. Youthfulness isn't about admiration. It's about reminding the world that we can still live beautifully from the inside out. And if this is the first time you feel understood, then I want you to know, God has seen you long before now, and He is still using your life as proof that real light never fades.